Your Honor, this man murdered thousands of people.
Evil people. Evil people. After all, they did have different religions than my client.
Evil? Many of them were children, sir. Some of them babies.
Normally, that would be a concern, to be sure, but in this case, God told him to do it. So we know it was okay.
Wait a minute. First of all, anybody could say that God told them to do it. Are we just supposed to believe them? I mean, how do we know that God told him to do it?
The accused wrote a prophecy that came true.
Says a hell that 9/11 will happen. On Betsy's pantyhose, that is downright remarkable.
But Your Honor, he just now wrote that. 9/11 happened almost 20 years ago.
It says will happen, son, will. If he all just now wrote it, it obviously would say that it has happened past tense. I say this a here man just a predicted 9/11 and nobody listened to him. Downright tragic.
But all he did was write about a past event in future tense.
Enough! Please label this hell evidence as irrefutable prophecy.
Okay, but why would God want him to kill those people?
Now, clearly those particular people would have led him astray, away from God.
Why would God tell him to kill their babies rather than just allow them to be raised under the right religion?
Well, now, if they were allowed to grow up, they would have sought vengeance for killing their families. Obviously, killing them was the only option. My client was standing his ground when he killed those babies.
Then why would God create them in the first place? Wouldn't it be easier for them to never have been born?
Never have been born? You one of those disgusting pro-choice people?
But you're the one trying to justify killing babies.
And now, just because I think it's okay to kill some babies, that doesn't make me not pro-life.
Yes it does.
My client did those babies a huge favor, sending them straight to heaven before they could sin or rebel against God.
But that's also a justification to kill all babies.
Your Honor, let the record show that the prosecution thinks it's okay to kill all babies.
Despicable. Another outburst like that, prosecutor, and I'll hold you in contempt of court.
It's not okay to kill babies. He's the one defending all the baby killing.
God knows all outcomes. Maybe if God demands the death of a baby, it's because that baby would grow up to be like Hitler.
Then why didn't he kill the actual baby Hitler? Or better yet, just never let him be born?
Your Honor, here we go with the abortion again.
Now, I strongly suggest you wrap this up, you filthy pro-choice degenerate.
Okay, why would God create a baby only to immediately demand it suffer the pain of death to be sent to heaven when he could have just created them in heaven to begin with?
Now, I'm about to end this here charade right now. You do not question God's plan here in my courtroom. You understand me? If God wanted a baby's only experience in life to be a horrific death, then I'm sure he had a perfectly good reason. By definition, because he's God, and God is good. Bailiffs!
He deserved it!
Quiet down, you fool! Ain't a good idea to represent yourself. But I'd be more than happy to take your case. Now, wait a minute, Your Honor. Everyone calm down.
Counselor, this man just murdered your client.
Allegedly murdered my client.
Now, look at here. I just saw him do it with my 2 damn eyeballs.
Your Honor, everything that happens is in accordance with God's plan, as you just now alluded.
Well, true, but I just...
And since God is ultimately good, as you yourself have said, it necessarily follows that his plan is good.
Well, of course.
Since everything that occurs is inherently a part of God's plan, then stabbing my client in the eye must have been justified. We just can't know from our limited human perspective what greater good stabbing my client in the eye will serve. But rest assured, Your Honor, that God has his reasons, or it couldn't have possibly happened.
But didn't God say that murder is wrong?
Yet God has told people to kill other people. Was that murder, Your Honor?
Well, I suppose not.
Now, did God tell you to kill my client?
Uh-huh.
Well, there you have it, Your Honor. Not only was it God's plan, but it wasn't even murder. You're not gonna question God, are you, Judge? I mean, who are you to judge, Judge?
But now look at here. How do we know that God told him to do it?
There's going to be wars in the future, and earthquakes.
My God!
Looks like an open and shut case to me, Your Honor.
But, now hear me out. If everything that happens is in accordance with God's plan, which is ultimately good, then isn't that a way to justify literally everything that happens?
Well, yeah.
Hey, I won my first case.
Now, wait a minute. What if we're all wrong and none of this is justified?
Simple, just ask God for forgiveness.
But what if there is no God to forgive us?
Well, in a world without God, we must then justify ourselves to the people we affect, our fellow human beings. And if we can't, then it is up to them to forgive us, rehabilitate us, make us pay restitution and/or punish us. We'd be at the mercy of very real, tangible consequences that don't rely upon the easily manipulated claims of what an unseen deity says or thinks. Nor can we rely on the existence of an afterlife to provide us with justice. So we must therefore strive to create a just world in the here and now. Since that is what we try to do, maybe deep down we don't really believe. Maybe that's why we don't just abandon justice to a God in an afterlife, but desperately try to seek justice in this life before death. Maybe that's why we painfully grieve rather than rejoice when a loved one supposedly goes to heaven. Maybe that's why we think more about things like traffic and sports than the Bible, why we know more about our favorite show than what the literal creator of the universe supposedly wants us to know. Maybe that's why we don't really fear God enough to stop us from doing bad things. Maybe our actions speak louder than our words, and we behave like God doesn't exist because deep down, we don't really believe He does.
Now, if you were as morally perfect as God killing a baby, then you would have made damn sure the job was done so that I could not seek my vengeance.